Each of the topics and the dialogue in this recording are designed to gracefully identify embedded formats, bringing to light the seeds and foundations of limiting current life belief systems and genetic imprints. These limiting imprints create obstacles and barriers to clarity, focus, health, vitality, abundance, and a harmonious life. The SVH tools utilized to reformat these barriers and blocks are implemented solely by the Creator after you have approved the clearing. For the transformational reformatting sequences to be fully implemented, this conscious authorization must be given. Anytime you are guided to view a screen in order to ask the Creator if it is in divine alignment for the Creator to implement the clearing sequences for you, the Creator waits for your agreement to go forward before the work can be seamlessly and gracefully applied. For now, sit back and relax. This Master Maker New Life seminar is going to take you on a journey of discovery, freedom, and sovereignty, helping to emancipate you from millions of limitations that have held you from defining and fully realizing your destiny.
Hello, this is Jill Marie, and I'm founder of SVH and Serenity Ministries, and this is our magnificent very first tele-seminar, Create an Abundant Life. Today we're going to break the chains holding you from prosperity consciousness and a prosperous life. So this tele-seminar is designed to probe to the very core of your alliances with collective realities that adversely affect you, limiting your personal growth and your financial freedom. We're going to get to the root of issues that are stopping you from living the life that you're choosing. In this tele-seminar, we're going to define the reality that you're choosing to create for an abundant, love-filled 2010 and beyond. We're going to fuel the assets supporting the foundation of your ideals, as well as isolate and reformat the limitations stopping your new reality from forming. This discourse is like no other we've ever done, because the goal here is to define, design, isolate any resistance, and then lay parameters to help keep you on track. Through it, we're going to touch on some very important issues of your life, and we're going to have embedded barriers and blocks to your success released in this session. We're going to also reach these embedded blocks by talking to your brain and other areas of your psyche that will be stimulated to unearth the barriers and blocks to your ideal abundant 2010, 2011, and beyond all that. So at all times it may appear that you are having a lot of clearing loaded, because a lot of times people feel the clearings even before they're actuated. But know that you are going to be the one that defines the actuation of it, and the Creator, of course, is the one implementing it. Sometimes it may appear that I'm long-winded about a topic. Those of you that know me know that that can happen. Sometimes it may appear as though I'm repeating myself or hyper-focusing on something. But each word, each topic and theme of this course is calibrated to stimulate areas of the genetic and current life files that are holding you back or suppressing the oomph, the drive to make your goal of an ideal life a priority. Of course, these clearing profiles are already engaged right now and loading profiles that you'll empower the Creator to implement later on, as I mentioned. Each time that you access this recorded course, you're going to be able to glean more from it. And the clearings are going to dive deeper into the recesses of ancient formatting that has the potential to stop or block you from your ideal. But today, we're just going to walk through it, and you're going to walk away with the transformational parameters set in place by you and your higher consciousness and soul that are going to automatically activate when limitations present. Now, that means that clearing profiles and interventions that the Creator will implement are going to kick in after this conference. It's going to be something that will follow you through the rest of your life. You'll be able to create a plan and follow it to the next 12 months and change your life. This is not a magic wand, though. I don't want you to think it's a magic wand, because you're going to be the one that defines what you desire, the one that forms the plan of how to get it, the one that unburdens yourself from energies that are limiting you, and, of course, feel the most glorious outcomes that you can imagine. You may have been on the sidelines waiting for your ship to come in before today, but from this day forward, you are done waiting. You're going to claim your destiny. You're going to make it happen. And even if you have to swim out to the harbor and tow your freedom ship in yourself, you're going to do it. We're going to talk about your relationships, your goals. We're going to talk about the lotto and lots of things. But the most important thing of all is your commitment to see your dreams through to formation. So let's start with what your age is. I don't like to say how old are you, but you think about your age. For that many years, you've been preparing for emancipation from limitation, and also you've been preparing for the ability to create your destiny rather than sit back and wait for the winds of change to bring them to you. Now, that works for some people, but how do you know if you can even recognize and step up to claim your prize if you haven't been focusing and planning for it? This is your year. The dimensional energies are harmonizing to hyper-support focused directives, and you are going to be able to manifest like never before. So this is the perfect time to step in to claim your reality, to claim and define your purpose, your desired realities, and the realm that you're choosing to evolve within. Sounds pretty cosmic, but that's the way the world is turning right now. Anything can happen, and this is your time to make it happen. You choose for it to be, and your ideal is going to be at the tip of your fingers. So why wouldn't you reach out and grab it? Now, it's one thing to wish you had something and then hope a dream, is going to make it happen. Or maybe even you dream about it and wait for the reality and maybe pine for a knock at the door when someone, is going to come up and just hand you the Publishers Clearinghouse prize or something. But somebody needs to roll out the red carpet to the creation flow and feed and fuel the realities that you're choosing. That somebody is you. And we're going to find your focus, we're going to define it, and then lock it in. Before we go any further, let's just take a moment and thank our blessed Creator for this opportunity, and also to begin with our prayer. We'll connect at the heart. Blessed Creator, we thank you for this opportunity for each of us to be able to receive the gifts that are being channeled through today. We ask that you rain divine light upon us throughout this entire session and every time that this recording is ever accessed. And that the masters, angels, and guides of light that are working with each of us just completely surround and infuse with the sacred rays each of us, so that we may be able to have the clarity and focus to be able to drive these concepts into the new reality. We ask also that the cloak of our future ascended master self be placed on our shoulders to support that clarity and focus. Thank you, Creator. Basically, it's time to be able to sit back and find the pieces. Find the pieces that have been there from the beginning. At the end of this seminar, you're going to be able to step up and complete your reality. Your work is going to be cut out for you, but literally cut out, because you're going to receive templates and you're going to make templates. So those templates are going to be step-by-step directives, like do this, do this, do this. So after you finish the course, there's going to be a really big planning phase, because you won't have the time to define 2010 down to the letter during our first go-around right now. Because to do it, properly, you'd want to really sit back and think of every single thing that would really be aligned with creating an abundant 2010. See, the first 3 hours is designated really to lay the foundations of the clearing parameters and to the steps for you to follow. And then you access the recording again to seal the deal and anchor the foundations into place. You can do that right after the class is complete, or tomorrow or next week. But don't wait for more than a week. Phase 2 of this strategy is to lock it down. So this is how it works. We're going to define what you want, envision what that looks like, and make a plan how to get it. And then we're going to isolate your resistance to the ideal so that we can lay parameters to help you stay focused on the ideal no matter what is happening in your life and what's happening around you. We're going to make an emancipation list also. That list is a list of things in your life that control you or control the realities around you. These are the people and the circumstances that hold you in a stuck pattern or that you allow yourself to stay stuck in that can limit the success of your new plan. This list needs to be neutralized, but you must be able to focus and be clear about what it is that you are neutralizing, because you may be surprised to find out how we're going to do that. See, we don't have to leave relationships and jobs and locations in order to make your dreams come true. We just need to emancipate ourselves from the catalysts that support limitations that thwart our efforts. Sometimes it's in the highest good for us to release alliances with destructive catalysts, but in most cases, releasing our formatting of attraction, acceptance, and alliances with an imbalance that supports limitation shifts the dynamics of relationships and associations. So you're going to know if it's in alignment to move away from a resistant catalyst, and you are the only one that gets to vote on something like that. With that said, this is not a seminar on how to walk away from things. It's a guide to assist you to claim sovereignty and make important choices in your life, in addition to embracing powerful tools that help to liberate you from the components of stagnation, loss of drive, loss of hope, loss of your dreams, fear of changing, and also blocks to envisioning the ideal and carrying it forward to fruition. Now, this is a tutorial that will inspire you to choose the reality that's yours to claim, to enhance your manifestation potentials and neutralize the areas of your life that block this divine right. So I was thinking the other day that old stuck energy kind of acts like an inversion. In meteorology, an inversion is like a cap that can lead to pollution being trapped close to the ground. So if this cap is broken out of sequence with whatever is cosmically occurring, convection of any moisture present can then erupt in violent thunderstorms. Now, I've lived in Boise, Idaho for a lot of years, and the surrounding mountains create kind of a bowl that supports inversions, especially in the winter, just describing. Summer, too. Summer can be just as bad. So car exhaust, fireplace smoke, lots of other toxins kind of build up in the basin. So strong cleansing winds from the north would blow right over the top of the inversion, leaving the pollution trap below. Eventually, something would break, and the cap would lift, leaving us with kind of a euphoric feeling of being unstuck for a while. But then, within a few days, the cap would reform, and we'd be right back in the soup again. Now, let's associate this kind of atmospheric condition with life. Let's say that an evolving being lives their life a certain way for a lot of years, and people have gotten used to how they react to things and live and co-create with them. And there's a comfort level that everyone has settled into, kind of like a predictable bubble. So over the years, as the evolving being elevates their conscious awareness and claims more sovereignty, the inversion of limiting beliefs and genetic imprints and associations with others that resist expansion can stagnate the creative flow of abundance and advancement because, well, pretty much everyone is stuck in the same muddle. That's what happens here in Boise, Idaho. They even have little blips on the television. It's stage orange, stay inside, don't breathe the outside air, keep your windows closed. Well, that's kind of what happens sometimes in life. with the people that we're married to, or the people that, we've been friends with forever, or people that would like us to stay kind of in the same patterns that they've grown accustomed to. Well, to maintain harmony, the evolving one in this example may suppress some aspects of their dreams and the reality that they would love to create, because each time that they stretch beyond the scope of the predictable bubble, a power struggle can commence and even lead to a violent attempt for others to reestablish the old inversion. That is kind of a predicament, isn't it? Because we love these people. And it isn't that they're bad people in most cases. It's because they have fear, isn't it? Well, in the case of the Boise inversion, my options were basically either convince a lot of people to no longer create air pollution within the fields of the Boise Basin, or to reposition myself in an area where atmospheric conditions are more supportive of the ideal environment that I'm choosing. That's an important thing to take note of. If oppositions to your goal are fueled by individuals or collective beings, or in this case, a whole basin of people, it's your divine right to claim sovereignty of your realm and your reality. It isn't your job, though, to make people change. But we can reflect the ideal to them to support the potential for them to change things if they choose. In a lifestyle version, if there are people in your life that suppress your independence and your free thinking ability to form the reality that you desire, the key element in transforming the situation is to basically stop reacting, stop allowing them to trigger you, and also stop empowering them to abuse you. Abuse is kind of a strong word to use here, but let's put things in perspective. Air pollution is abusive to the body and the enlivenment of self, and so is being suppressed from achieving your highest purpose and the enlivenment of self. That's aligned with that. So how do you know what your potential is until you start forming the parameters of a reality that's beyond the scope of your current situation? To create it, you must first be able to imagine it, or at least partially imagine it, and then it must be fueled. So how do you know what you don't know? What if you have the makings of a great philosopher, but you're in a stagnant environment where examination and discussion of basic concepts such as truth, existence, reality, causality, and freedom are stifled? None of the people in the environment would support free thinking or even asking questions. I don't know about you, but I was raised that if you ask why, you kind of got your mouth slapped. JD all the way. So in an environment where someone is stifled from even having the foundation or the fundamental layers build upon themselves to build the bridge to the understanding of what is yours to create, how are you going to see that it's even possible? There is a Catholic priest, when I used to take my mother to church every Sunday, that walked away from the parish. It coincidentally came around the time that people were getting in trouble for molesting children, but I believe that he just had a belly full of the whole thing, and he came back one last time. And he said, listen, I want to tell you why I left. He said, I've joined a group that goes around the world and supports the creation of the loaves and fishes for people in really, really, really poor countries. Because people that have the ability, like in America and Australia and Canada and, really a lot of places throughout Europe and the world, if you're hungry, you can find some food. If you really, are need a job, you can find one, and there are places to get free food. And so, he said, I feel like, I've been like helping people, but I want to go to places where there are geniuses in the ranks of millions, but they can't find it because they can't afford the uniform so they can go to school, or they can't find their way to realize their destiny because 6 days out of 7 they have no food, and they're looking for it, fighting for it, and struggling for it. So they don't have any time to plan or put anything together, to strategize, to sit back and ponder the universe and pray and meditate and see their way clear to realize their dream, or even find that there is a dream. With these children, he said, I'm just amazed that there are people out there that can go that long without food. How can they be thinking about the new invention that they would love to bring on board? So he said, that's why I'm there. But one of the things that he left us with as a parting gift was that he said, if anybody tells you that you have to listen to them, that you can't go straight to God and ask God and get your own direction, don't listen to them. So you're going to take that philosophy, you're going to take that premise, and you're going to build on it, because you have the innate ability to connect with the Creator in so many delicious and very fulfilling ways. And I'm going to share with you that the most divine means for receiving your answers is just to get quiet and ask through the eyes of the Creator, moving beyond all illusion. What is the truth as you see it, Creator? Because when you do that, you get your own gut feeling. You get your own answers, whether you're thinking them or feeling them. So none of us truly knows what we're capable of until we try. And how can we try if we're stuck in a box? And if everybody's given us advice to keep us in the box, who's the best person to go to for advice? I'll tell you, one time, my friend Barb Sorensen told me that I channeled something from St. Germain or Mother Mary or something, that she that the answer to a question she had was, when you're stuck in the corner, when there's nowhere to turn, look up. There's plenty of ways. And that's sometimes the only way out of the box. So our connection to our blessed Creator and our directives, our inner gut feelings and directives, and mastering our mind and looking for the steps that will lead us to the destiny that we're choosing is the answer. So basically, once again, none of us really knows who we are and what we're capable of till we step out of the box to basically wonder and then experience and try new things. So it might seem scary at first, but what's the worst thing that can happen? Well, I would say the worst thing that can happen is for you to not try, to no try at all, to no experience, to no stretch beyond the box that you'll look back on later and wish that you'd stepped out of sooner. It doesn't matter what other things people think and what they say, because those things that they say that would limit you are about them. But how you respond to the opinions and beliefs of others is really, it's about you, isn't it? So what if Einstein's parents told him that he would never amount to anything? And then his school counselors insisted that he stay in remedial courses of study. And if it was in this day and age, just describing that they didn't understand his genius, so they put him on Ritalin. What about someone that's dissuaded from living their dream? This course is about learning how to convince someone that you have the potential and it can accomplish something. It's about releasing attachment to the vote that they have in defining your life. You may be someone's child. You may be someone's parent or a parent yourself or someone's spouse or partner, but you're the only one that is truly ordained to vote on your life. It's a courtesy to bring people into the loop. And some opinions can be valuable. Maybe your ideal is to form a dynamic partnership that's going to help you both soar to unknown reaches of success and personal expansion and abundance. But the bottom line remains that you have the final say in every facet of your life. If you don't, then you've negated one of the most important elements of mastery. Can you imagine Buddha or Saint Germain or Jesus asking permission to progress further? I don't know what the person they ask might be afraid of giving the answer to them leads them to maybe miss a piece of their next step. Listening to your own inner guidance circumvents someone else's fear of the unknown. And, of course, how valuable would that person's input be anyway if they were afraid of you growing and expanding beyond their comfort zone? I'd venture to say not very valuable at all. And we want to honor everyone. We want to respect the opinions of others. But that doesn't mean we have to accept it and embrace it and bring it into our lives. Now, I know that this is kicking up some random inner dialogue in some of you, and that's good. I love it. That's exactly what we're hoping for and choosing. What we are choosing right now is to have the words that I'm saying trigger different deep genetic, 20, 30, 50, 100,000 years deep genetics. We want to trigger it and load it. And we want to do it in a manner that doesn't give you any imbalance whatsoever. So I want you to know that this is all kind of happening seamlessly in the background. But you might hear a little of your random inner dialogue. There are specific words that are coming to my mind that are being said so that you can unlock doors that are holding you from the reality that you are going to be choosing in this abundant, expansive manifestation plan for your 2010. I can tell you that your future ascended master self is evolved in this workshop as well as in your project. I'm calling it a project. The reason I want to call it a project is because if we look at it as a project, then what we're seeing here is a set of steps. How do we plan the outcome that we're looking at? How does anybody know what the outcome is going to be if it's untried? Nearly every technological advancement that we've ever had was at one time considered impossible. Look no further than the light bulb or the airplane. The inventors and developers of the innovators of our time had to push beyond many obstacles in order to reach the ideal visions that they aspired to create. When you push beyond stuck energy that holds the status quo cap, like that inversion in place, something has to shift out of the way to let it happen. So when shifting the old stuck energy that holds the status quo cap in place, what happens in your life? The old stuck energy is moving out, and it leaves a space open for something new. So when we shift the old stuck energy aside from our life, we first prudently oughta, shoulda, coulda, woulda figure out what we want to replace it with in that space so that we can create the exact focus picture, the vision that we'd like to go into it. Have you ever thought or pondered about how a lot of times people that are in really destructive relationships I'm just describing this, of course, and anything else that I say in this conference that is limiting. A lot of these things I'm saying to trigger things, so I'm describing it, but I'm really, when I say failure, I really kind of want to trigger something with the word failure, so I'm going to stop describing here. So what I'd like to say, though, is that individuals sometimes, they'll be in a relationship with someone, and, they'll get beat up pretty bad, emotionally, physically, and they'll leave. And if they don't go back and they really keep on going, sometimes, boy, I'll tell you what, that space that's open there from their leaving opens up the opportunity for really good things to come in. Really, really good things. So it opens up the way for new relationships because the person is saying, well, I'm not going to do this, I ain't going to do that, I'm never going to have a relationship that looks like that. And so they open up for something else. But sometimes the vacuum is there and immediately attracts the same or similar experiences. Okay? So when shifting the old stuck energy aside from our life, we first want to get out of the way so we can create a space for that advancement. Okay? The way to do that is by preparing the ground that the seeds of your vision will be planted in, making the seedbed fertile by releasing resistance and any alliances with naysayers, with old formatting and beliefs, fears, all those kind of things. Then when we plant the seeds of our reality in fertile ground with choices that can foster with a clear vision of the steps leading to the ideal outcome, we do that with positive thoughts, unwavering focused clarity, and actions that match our commitment to success. Can you imagine every single person that ever left a really, really disastrous relationship of abuse, if they laid a plan of action in stone and lived by it, opening up the way for only ideal life realities to enter that space? It will be a completely different world for them and maybe the 4 or 5 kids that they're moving out of that relationship with them. So the situation is this, that one of the biggest barriers to personal expansion is found in the great pool of genetic imprinting. And the second is our alliance with limiting beliefs held in collective consciousness. Those 2 blocks limit our infinite capacity to create instantly in a focused clarity that supports the manifestation of exactly what our conscious choices define. Manifesting with precision is your right and your privilege. Today we're going to direct your focus to uphold the formation of your dreams. And we're going to do it in a manner that allows your focused clarity to be the driving force, the only energy that enters the stream of creation energy. Manifesting with precision, that is the key. And we're going to shift the atmosphere of your life and lift the inversion cap to release limitations. And we're going to do it so gracefully that thunderstorms, or in this case, tantrums and power struggles from others, have no ability to trigger or suppress your focus and your full and complete realization of the ideal plan that you're forging for 2010. Now, you might not have any of these negatives going on in your life right now, and you might be like sitting there thinking to yourself, well, I'm sitting here with the perfect life, and everybody in my life is supporting me, and I feel really kind of good and everything, and I wish you'd get past this part. But guess what? You've got genetics, and you've got a past. And we're working on many layers and facets of your reality with quantum level reprogramming, as well as many new tools that have been surfacing just in the last couple of weeks. You're going to be really surprised at what it feels like when you actuate the clearing at the end of this conference. It's going to be really huge. So we're going to dig deep. We're going to do a big cleanup of any previous manifestations that ended in less than ideal realities, or let's say less than your ideal vision of what you were hoping to create and would create now in your current state of awareness. Because something that you would create when you were 16 is a lot different than maybe what you would create when you're 54. Because, number one, you've had life experience, it's a whole different realm right now. There's so many different potentials. And, maybe it would be really, really, cool to manifest, an old Chevy, or some great old car that, was Model T Ford or something and get it all fixed up and everything. And it's great to have those in the garage and driving around in parades and stuff like that. But I want to remind you that there's no air conditioning in them. This reality that we want to create, we're choosing to create, is a pristine version of your life that is filled with abundance, that allows you to be free, to be able to step up and claim exactly what you're choosing to claim and create. You can create that a Model T Ford has roll-up windows. You can create that your modern-day Model T Ford has air conditioning. And we can remap old patterns that support lackadaisical formation methods that'll give you a head start on mega manifesting also. Because the key is not so much how you manifest the reality, but what the manifestation that you're choosing is fueled by. It doesn't matter if you're manifesting through sitting 20 hours a day meditating, or if you're just doing some quick quantum level reprogramming, releasing seeds and foundations of blocks to accepting and allowing yourself to, just shoot forward with lightning speed to the next leaps and abundance and passion and this new life of prosperity. But I can tell you that the end game on that is the same when you have focused clarity. So it's not enough for us just to reformat the seeds and foundations of old formations with less than ideal outcomes. We also need to revisit the inner and external resistance that you encountered in those time frames. What really stopped you from reaching those goals, and what were the underlying genetic stagnation points that limited you from pushing past that cap is what I'm after. And, of course, as you know, while I'm talking, I'm working, and also while you're hearing me, the Creator's parameters set for this telecast are already in place. Your higher consciousness and your soul and the Creator are working diligently right now to put all of this together, even if you're accessing this in a recording, maybe weeks and years after this seminar has been completed. So as we move through these 3 hours, the SVH tools are expediently working to isolate the genetic and current life formatting that has thwarted your efforts to create the life of your dreams. I like that word thwarted, because when I say thwarted your efforts, guess what happens? Lots of random inner dialogue. Lots and lots and lots. So specific words, stories, examples, and reference to topics are even now stimulating pathways of discovery for the Creator to utilize in the upcoming transformational reformatting sequences. Now, 2010 is going to be the best year ever, and it lays the foundation for a future that's beyond expectation, because you will grow and expand as your manifestation proficiency is elevated. So prepare for the grand and the glorious and the ideal, and they're going to be yours. That's Manifestation 101. You prepare for it, you create it, you fuel it, you focus on it, you make it happen. Prepare for rough passage, and you better pack your first aid kit. Energy flows to support your focus, and higher ground is within reach, but you really need to climb up to it. There's lots we can do to make the progression easy and graceful, but ultimately, you're the one that chooses if you reach the summit or just the first rung on the ladder. Although I can tell you that the clearing profiles that we are implementing, that you're going to be employing the Creator to activate for you at the end, are going to shoot you straight up to about halfway up on the ladder. The first thing to do right now, though, is to figure out what you desire and what level of commitment that you're going to give to leaping out of the old paradigms that are no in alignment with your desires and your choices. Of course, the next step is choosing. But choosing isn't enough. I can choose to make popcorn today, but if I don't have any, I'm going to need to manifest that somebody bring me some, or I can create it either by going to the store and buying it, or fueling creation, forming energy to create a bag of popcorn in my pantry. Now, we've all been doing things like that our whole life. Most of us just think it's a coincidence. Things that we're looking for appear when they weren't there yesterday, tucked away waiting for us to find it. You see, we've been creating every facet of our realm already. Some of it's been what we want, and some of it's been not so good or a real setback. Now it's time for us to start forming the realities that we can get behind. Okay? Haphazard manifesting is what my mother would call nerve-wracking. So you don't know where you stand when you're releasing the reins of focus and let the energy flow wherever it's attracted. Co-creating is magnificent when all minds are focused on the same picture. But releasing the focus of your reality can limit the formation potential of your ideal. It's paramount for your focus to continually fuel your ideal in order to maintain the parameters of your definers or recipe for the reality that you're creating. Sounds like you're never going to get a break, doesn't it? Like it sounded more and more like hard work, but it's not. When you get the barriers out of the way, which we are going to be doing in this segment here, that have been blocking you from manifesting your ideal in the past, and are blocking you now, right now, from creating your ideal, abundant 2010. When those things are out of the way, your focus is automatically a constant. In fact, it's euphoric. Your level of passion increases exponentially, and you start to know that you can create anything. The first thing we need to do is to achieve this level of commitment. And to do that, we need to rid ourselves of the deeply embedded precepts of victimhood and put the rudder back on your boat so that you can start navigating the energy flow of your manifestations. The next step at this juncture is to disengage from collective consciousness beliefs that are held in your deep genetics that support old paradigms of disempowerment. Now, these are beliefs that support you and everybody staying stuck or in the box. Because if you stick your neck out, you might get it chopped off. Better the devil you know. That's another one. That's the shorthand version of the full idiom, better the devil you know than the devil you don't, which is what I heard when I was a kid, which also means that it's often better to deal with someone or something that you're familiar with and know, even if they aren't your ideal, than it is to risk joining up with an unknown person or thing or giving your energy to that. And that, my friend, is what keeps people in the box. That's what keeps people from leaping beyond the known to the unknown. It's kind of fun. I'd like you right now to think back on every single time that you really, really resisted something because you didn't know how to do it, or you're afraid of what it might look like, or something that you really kind of stood back from and didn't do for a really long time. And then finally, one day, you know, either you got pushed or shoved into it, or you went ahead and you experienced whatever it was, and you found out it wasn't as bad as you thought. Well, that is growth. That's expansion. And a lot of times people don't like to grow or move beyond certain parameters of their comfort zone unless they have to, unless they're shoved into it. Today, we're going to change that because that deep genetic imprint, those pus pockets that are sitting there holding you stuck from being able to be inspired by opportunities and options that you would be able to even express or know are available with this pus pocket and cap sitting there. How do you know what the blue sky looks like in an inversion? How do you know what it feels like to step onto some new territory that you've never ever dreamed that you'd be able to experience, or to even be a part of something so grand and glorious as missions in Egypt or travel on or a cruise. Think about a cruise, the safest travel in the world, really, unless you're, of course, on the Sea Diamond over in Greece. But the point is that these caps, these pus pockets that basically say you can't do this because keep us from getting the ideas that are aligned with these leaps, these exquisite, amazing opportunities that are part of fueling our personal expansion, our awareness, our ability to be a free thinker, a big thinker, or even someone that allows innovation to inspire them to basically reach beyond anything that they've ever aspired to before. So these are the kind of things that we are after today, those caps. And when I asked you to think about all the times that you have never, that you've held back from experiencing something, and you've even said the words never, I'll never. What happens is your brain isolates those for me. And just by asking you that, your brain already has the answer. And so your God self, which is your higher consciousness and your soul, have already gone, there's all those 94 times and everything that seeded the foundations of them and everything that stopped or blocked. We're going back on all of those nevers that blocked you from greatness, that blocked you from the freedom to create this incredible dynasty and destiny that is yours. Destiny's funny. If you look up destiny, it's kind of like a definition of being in a rudderless boat, because destiny pretty much says, that it's already preordained. See, when I say destiny, I don't mean that. When I say destiny, I'm going after clearing in you for that belief. But the Creator, when the formatting is implemented, it's going to put in a new parameter for destiny. Destiny means choice. Destiny means free expression. You're creating your destiny. As masters, that is your divine right. So what do you want to do? Do you want to stay in the reality of the old story? Or do you want to step out of it, move out of it, and define a new story? I guess I already know the answer to that question, but the Serenity tools are at work right now to isolate the layers of resistance unknown to your conscious commitment to designing and defining your new masterful, abundant 2010. Whether you're choosing to stick your toe in right now and change or add a couple of components to reform your old story, or you're going to define a complete overhaul, first you got to choose. So the changes or additions can be simple and easy or manifest into one heck of a journey. Okay? We got a year to do it. We can do it in the first week or we can do it in next December. But how can you create something that you can't imagine, that you can't define or you can't even describe? Well, I can tell you, you need a plan. If you don't have a plan, you can fall into a stalemate of dreaming and hoping, and creation energy will somehow form some kind of reality that maybe has a flavor of what you want. But that hands the creation, formation, reins of your manifestation over to anybody who wants to support or thwart your efforts. So if you don't plan to follow through and fuel something all the way, and you don't keep the focus, you run the chance of manifestation forming out of alignment with your desires. Creation formations can still form when you aren't vigilantly directing them. But in 2010, you're going to step into a new role of attentiveness that will fuel your manifestations into formation to match the parameters that you're consciously choosing, instead of letting the chips fall where they may and accepting less than your ideal. The laws of formation are written, and you can create and are creating every facet of your realm and reality already, basically. If there's a pattern of no getting what you want or desire, you just get part or, just a little bit of it. The utter and complete loss of a dream is another reality that can be created. Then there's something within your resolve that lets go of the dream and the focus. Today, we are on not a witch hunt. That's funny. We're not on a witch hunt today. What we're on is a formatting hunt. And we are on the hunt to isolate and shut down any part of your reality, whether it's from outside sources or inside, inside of you, that is limiting you from jumping in and changing your recipe. Because you need to change your recipe, or what we in SVH call the formation elements that are creating your reality. So if you bake a cake over and over again with the same recipe, holding, just kind of hoping that it's going to transform from the chocolate cake in the formation elements defined, all the while hoping that somehow a miracle is going to happen and the cake is going to come out of the oven as an angel food cake, I think your plan's flawed. Now, I'm no discounting miracles. I believe in miracles and our ability to manifest anything and everything that we desire, but fueling reality with the same formation components over and over again negates the alternate reality that you hope to manifest. The laws of formation are clear. When the elements you input into a formation recipe are upheld, what happens? When you fuel them with focused clarity, the end result is formed. Naturally, we're all, there are ways to bend the rules. And we find divine loopholes all the time. That as evolving masters, areas of manifestation that we don't enter into are formation potentials that support manipulation. So we're choosing to create focused, clear realities that are free of limiting formation components. So this is how it works. Most of us know how Manifestation 101 works, so I'm just going to make it very brief. But I'd like you to imagine this exquisite river of energy. And it flows into this great big huge, this great big huge dam, let's say, this reservoir that's dammed up. Now here's this great big, gazillions of gallons of creation energy, and down below is this river, and there's really no water in it. But this big dam, this concrete space is holding the creation energy back. When we have a desire to create something, what happens is that it opens up the valves, let's say, on the dam wall that is holding creation energy from the stream bed that is right below. And the stream bed is what flows creation energy to your realities. So let's say that you have a desire for something, and you're choosing, that this be manifested very swiftly, and you're really focused about it, and you got a plan, and you really are getting behind the creation of whatever this reality is with your thoughts, your words, your actions. What happens is that this retaining wall allows, and your focus and your clarity allows these valves to turn and determines how much creation energy flows into your riverbed. So your riverbed is as wide as it is, as deep as it is, and it can either fill up and just deluge, just coming straight through into fuel your reality, or can trickle out. Now, what happens a lot of times is that creation energy starts off really, really just flowing beautiful. Now, imagine that you're in the middle of your energy flow. Let's say you're in a boat, and you've got the rudder in your hand, and you are driving the creation energy right to the creation formation that you're desiring, and that flow is carrying your boat exactly where you want it to go, because you've got a hold of the rudder and you're defining where it's going to go. So you're defining that there's going to be no loss, no disharmony, no disease, disorder, dysfunction. There's not going to be any, damage to you or your property. It's going to, the whole manifestation is going to be easy and graceful. And you are riding the waves. And boy, I mean, the more you're fueling it, your boat is like floating way up high, because your riverbed is like really, really being fueled. And then something happens, and somebody tells you can't, or you got a couple of little things get in the way, and you start to lose heart. Or something in your deep genetics says you can't. When you just get to that place where you're just about to make it happen, and all of a sudden crazy stuff happens, like your car breaks down and now your focus is on that, or you're in a fight with somebody in the family, or somebody's mad at you, or you get laid off from work, or all these different things happen, and you, instead of staying focused on what you're choosing and seeing all those little pieces that are happening around you as perhaps distractions that you must honor, but, with some attention, but you still keep your focus. Instead, sometimes you can let go of the rudder a little bit, and maybe you can give your attention more to one of these other realities, like getting caught up in the drama of arguments, getting caught up in the frustration of having your car break down, or your refrigerator break down, and trying to figure out how to pay your rent, after you've been laid off, things like that. And as you see that, then your river, this coursing river of creation energy, starts to become less of a deluge, really, because what's happening is that these little tributaries branch off. Now some energy is now going towards this thing over here. Some is now going towards being a little bit upset and frustrated about, the job thing, and maybe not being able to get around because your car is breaking. And all of a sudden now you've got very little creation energy fueling that outcome that you're looking for, that you're choosing to create. And the more you deviate the creation energy to some of these other avenues, what happens is that you can actually lose sight of the dream altogether. And it all adds up into one big disaster. And, of course, you lose confidence, and you believe that you can't create stuff after all, and that, your brain was right, that you can't do it, and your teacher was right that you never amount to anything. Whatever these parameters are, maybe your great-great-great-great-great-grandfather's issues are tied up into it as well. So the point is that you are the one with the rudder. We got to, never let go of that rudder. We can still deal with the different things in our life that are around there, but we've got to keep that focus on what we're after, what we're choosing to create. Sometimes we choose to create something a little bit different partway down, and we can deviate the entire flow to something a little bit different. I like to call that the unknown variable. Sometimes the unknown variable is even better than the original outcome that we're choosing to create. Let's start putting creation energy to work. And with this little explanation of how creation energy works in our lives, let's think about how in the past creation energy that we have fueled towards outcomes that didn't come about as we liked it may have been deviated off to different sources. While you're thinking about those, know that we're grabbing onto the seeds and foundations of what was anchoring and supporting those realities, because we want to mop up the past. We want to remap those past occurrences and what was stimulating them and assisting to fuel them, because when we do that, it helps you to have kind of an easier sprint off ground from. If everything's bumpy, you can still leap. You can still get up to a really fast run. As a matter of fact, when you're really running fast, it doesn't matter how bumpy the ground does it? The main thing is that you hang on to that rudder. So let's start our list. Get your paper and your pencils ready. If you want to wait to, put all of this together later, that is your prerogative, but I would really highly encourage you to get out the paper and pencil, because as you're writing things, even if you're missing a few things or even frustrated because you are missing it, because I do talk fast, that adds to our clearing profiles. And writing it and thinking it uses different parts of the brain. The first category, there's several categories we're going to be working with, and these categories, the first category is your vision. What is your vision? So I would like you to write down your first category, and you can have one page for each category, and then notes about each category. But your first category is your vision, okay? So we've got about 10 different categories, and vision is one of the most important ones, because your vision of what your reality is going to look like, your desired reality for an abundant 2010, needs to have a vision. It needs to have a vision of what that looks like. So what does 2010 look like to you right now? Who are the major players? You, your family, your partner, or maybe a new partner that you'll be manifesting. Where are the scenes played out in your location or locations, and how much money are we talking about? What's this new reality going to cost? I know, those of you that know me know that I'm prodding for more random inner dialogue, but we'll get into the manifestation of money in a few minutes, but creating an outline with bullet points and allowing yourself to design the stages of your new life story is very important. So vision, your vision is the first category, your vision of what 2010 is going to look like. Now, I want to tell you something really cool. We get this 2010 perfected, and guess what happens? Your whole life changes. Even if your vision is not even a huge, big vision, your life for 2011 and beyond changes. Every day changes. The minute you put this vision into practice in these 10 categories that we have, you are going to be changing your future. And I will tell you that you're going to be doing it by fueling it and by gaining proficiency in directing formation elements. Once we've cleared out this huge, big resource of negative or limiting formatting that's supporting old paradigms and blocking you from attaining and achieving your ideal reality, then those things aren't going to be there to kick up a fuss. It's going to be easier to stay focused. It's going to be easier to keep your eye on the ball. It's going to be, you're going to notice the second that something comes up that is a limiting thought. You're going to become so hypervigilant about it, not because you're obsessed, but because you are going to be accustomed to only thinking positive thoughts and only directing with your hand on the rudder. Would you say that you would sit with right now and decide to turn the rudder and run onto a train track with a train coming and then just park on the track? Well, if you are, you're extremely depressed. But the point is, no, you wouldn't. No, you wouldn't. What you would choose is to keep the flow going to safe havens. You would support no drama in your life. You would support that everybody wants to help you. Everybody wants to be around you because you're so dang fun, and you're filled with love and harmony, and everywhere you go, you enter the room to heal the room. And everybody feels good around you, not because they're sucking your energy, but because you've got so much love that it just radiates out to everybody, and they just bask in it. And you're so cloaked from the adversarial energies that the black hats, if we want to name them black hats, the adversarial energies, don't know that you're even out there. So what does your story look like? That is your first, your vision has to be the story of what 2010 is going to look like. And it needs to be positive stuff. You don't want to put down in your story that you would like to have, you're going to choose that you have more money than you could spend in 10 lifetimes because right now you're suffering. No. That is negative energy merging into your creation flow, and that's like just dumping a bunch of creation energy killer into the pool. So no negative, positive neutralization profiles. Positive, you design what it looks like, and you're good at that stuff. We all are. We kind of have an idea what we want right now, but I want you to really define those parameters when you have the time to honor this project. So right now we're just moving through the steps. So if you're building a business, design what that looks like, the stages of the progression. That's really a good thing to do because just saying I'm going to open up a mailbox, et cetera, sounds good, but, or a Starbucks or something, but, it's more realistic to your brain and fueling of the creation energy if you have an idea of what that's going to look like and how it's going to happen. So list the steps leading to the ideal, okay? So you're going to design what it looks like. You're going to put an outline there with bullet points of this is what it's going to look like, this, and this. You're going to list the steps leading to the ideal. So that's write down, list the steps leading to the ideal. But I want you to be open to this being fluid, okay, so that you can be flexible if parameters shift to support a new ideal or an amended vision. You're making a year-long commitment here to fuel and support the ideals that you're defining. So this is a serious endeavor, okay? It's a project. Let's give it the seriousness that it deserves because you are choosing it, and you're going to write it all the way through. And maybe the first little bit is going to be, where you feel like you're really working really a lot. But you know what? I'll tell you something. If you're in a workout situation and you're really, really out of shape, the first workouts just can be kind of, tiring. Maybe you have to build up to it. And also, sometimes, want to quit. But in this case, you won't. Because this isn't the year to quit. This is the year to ride it all the way. And I believe that instead of swimming the whole distance, we can get up on what I think of as the ethereal surfboard and ride the wave in, because that's way easier than paddling and fighting up against currents and riptides and everything else. So what we're choosing to do is to lay the parameters in place that make it so that we can get up on that surfboard and ride it in. So I want you to treat this project as if it's a job that you've been hired to do. The other day I told a friend of mine who's building our healing practice that it isn't enough to just set up a shop, and people need to know that you're available to help them. So I told her that if you aren't telling 10 people a week about your business, fire yourself. Just fire yourself and hire somebody else to help you, because if a company hired you to promote their business and you didn't reach 10 people a day, they'd probably fire you. I would. Because why would you want to hire somebody to fuel your endeavor? So now you act as if you have been hired by somebody. This is a job. Pretty soon it's going to be the way you live, and everything that you're choosing is just going to manifest so easily. But right now, you're learning the steps. So this is the question. Would you hire you to lay the foundations for your story? In the past, did you have a good work ethic? Did you have a passion for what you desired to create? If you did, great. If you didn't, don't worry about the past story, because the new story is the one that counts now. So let's answer that question. Heavens, yes. You are putting you in charge of laying the foundation for your new tomorrow and for 2010 and beyond. Make the commitment now. Think it. Say it aloud. Shout it out. Whatever way you want to anchor your dedication and loyalty to yourself and your plan, do it. Because the first category is creating the vision and getting behind it. The next category is focus. What are you focusing on? Focus on the vision that you're choosing to create. Okay, if you're focusing on shoulda, coulda, wouldas and things of the past and I can't and stuff like that, the key here is to leave that stuff behind, because that doesn't match the vision you're just creating here. You're creating focus. Now, I want you to know that you're going to have a whole year of access to this seminar. You're going to be able to access it online, and you're going to be able to, tonight, you're going to be able to, if you want to, or for the next week, you're going to be able to access it. I'm going to send you the codes, and you're going to be able to get on and you're going to be able to listen to it on the telephone, and you'll be able to pause and resume and rewind and whatever you want. So don't worry about what you're missing right now. What you want to be focused on, and as soon as Ben gets it up on the website, it's going to be up there. It's going to be up there on a secure site. You're going to put in your code, and you're going to be in there, and you're going to be clicking on it. If you want to burn a copy for yourself and have it on your computer so you don't have to do that, you can. You can put it on your iPod. You can do whatever you want. I just ask that you keep it for yourself. The focus is what? It's linked to the vision, isn't it? My grandchildren, who just, learned how to ice skate, which I'll tell you about later, they had an instructor who said, pretend you have an apple on your head. Focus. Don't look down. Don't look down. They'd say, where's your apple? Where's your apple? And it was so cute to watch them out on the ice. And their head would go down, and you'd see them start to wobble, and they'd start to fall, and she'd say, where's your apple? And they'd put their head up, and they'd just be as still on the ice. It was amazing. So where's your apple? That's the key. Where is your focus? Your focus needs to be on the vision, your vision, okay? So I'm going to call it focus vision. In one of my telecasts, I suggested that listeners imagine that they have one eye on the eyepiece of a telescope looking into the near future when their ideal is already created, okay? So when you do that, you're in touch with the final outcome that you're choosing to create, and you can see it. You can know it's real. So that way, everything in the now that's leading up to the ideal reality is just a step that needs to be taken in order to reach the completion stages of your manifestation. So one eye is on the ultimate reality, focusing on the ideal, and the other eye is on the steps leading to it. If God handed you a map leading you to a specific goal and told you that the pathways leading to your destination would be varied, but you're going to make it, and that, depending on your choices, the kingdom of riches can be reached within a year or over the course of a lifetime, what would you do? Well, I'd venture to say that you wouldn't dilly-dally, would you? You'd sprint there, not wasting one precious moment fueling limitation scenarios, victim mode. In fact, you'd be focused on every means to reach your ultimate goal. Anything that you would see coming your way that would have to do with being sick and falling down and breaking bones and dramas of he said, she said, and blaming people and all that stuff, you would just be like, I don't have time for this, man. Get out of my way here. I mean, I am moving aside. Get my rudder over here. I'm getting away from the drama, and I am going to be on this smooth creation energy flow. And that's what you do, because if you can create an incredible life for yourself in a short period of time or over 50, 70 years, well, what's your answer there? I mean, obviously, we're going to do it in 2010, and well, let's do it in really a fast time frame, and let's celebrate every step leading there. I have this real kind of it's not a negative belief, but it's a resistance. Let's say I have a resistance to limiting beliefs, but also I have a resistance to believing that everything in our life is a failure until we reach the success point. To me, everything is the success. Everything is a part of it. And unfortunately, in our genetics, we have this formatting that basically says that all the steps leading up to the culmination of the success is all crap. None of it's any good. It's all bad. And you're only a success when you are. So that means that it negates the value of all those steps leading. So I have a problem with that. I have a resistance to aligning with that reality. It's limiting. What I believe is that some stuff we wish wouldn't have happened. Some stuff we're in the middle of creating that we wish to gosh we hadn't started. And some stuff we can get over really, really quick by changing our focus. And it's all part of the success, because ultimately we are going to reach the goal. So let's just do it quicker. So in this particular category of focus, I want you to write the script for your Abundant 2010. Now, the vision is different than the script. Okay? Don't put the issues that need to be overcome in this vision, in this focus, because this is the final draft of the vision. Okay? The focus is the template that we're going to be using later on to fuel the outcome and speed it to formation. So to help you basically to help you along, the Creator and your future Ascended Master Self is going to provide you with a perfected version of this ideal after you've completed your focused vision. Okay? You need to create this vision in order to receive the perfected version of it. But later in this session, I'm going to get a copy from the future of your perpetually updating perfected template, and we're going to use it in an exercise that's going to assist you to accept assistance and allow yourself to succeed. There's a lot of us that I'm not going to describe it at all. There's a lot of us that block help from the outside. We block it from being able to support us and help us. For whatever reason, it might be upbringing, it might be deep genetics, but we're after that. We're onto that, and that's going to get shifted and cleared away. Okay, we have a trigger process for this incredible new reality that is going to be fueled. The focus is going to be fueled by this action. It's going to be part of your homework, and however often you use, focused vision trigger process that we're going to be getting later is about you. It's your choice and your commitment. This focus category might be the most important part of your manifestation plan. In truth, it fuels creation energy to over 67% of your goal. So this piece is important. Each time you develop this category of focus and focus on the ideal vision of abundance, it holds you and helps you. It holds you into that place, and it helps you to assure that your ultimate goal occurs, because the action that follows is based solely on those ideals that are held in the focus. So the next category, write this one down, is claiming your realm. This is our third focus, claiming your realm. This part's really fun. Claiming your realm is a serenity tool that creates sovereign fields of choice. You're basically saying, this is my list of all I choose to be a component of my realm, and this is what I won't allow. And the shielding and reformatting tools associated with claiming your realm are really profound. They help you to sustain your focused vision. And, of course, what is your vision made of? It's made up of your focused vision. So this is an interactive procedure. It's a serenity process, but I've made it into a trigger process that you're going to be able to utilize. It'll be implemented at the end of this recording, followed by the focused vision process, okay? Claiming your realm has been made into a trigger process, as I mentioned, so all you have to do is when you implement it is you just close your eyes and think the words claiming your realm, and then you'll imagine that you're standing on a sandy beach and Archangel Michael's drawing a big circle around you, and of course you're standing on one side of the circle, and the line dividing the space of the circle that you're standing on from the other side of the circle is right in the middle, and so you're on one side. And then a screen is going to manifest in the air before you and record all that you define as a parameter of your realm and your world and your personal sovereign space. And, of course, you begin defining your realm by choosing that your focused vision of 2012 is the ideal. And you're choosing, and then you start naming off additional positive entries. Then you add the negative statements like none shall have the right or privilege to stop or block the smooth, easy, graceful manifestation of this ideal, and so on, yada, yada. So when you've completed your list, all you need to do is think activate, and the screen will be implemented by the creator. And from that moment forward, you step across the line, and reformatting profiles activate any time the parameters of your realm that are in your focused vision are compromised by your acceptance and allowing of outside elements nullifying your vision. I'm going to be guiding you through this whole exercise. Right now I'm just describing it to you. You know, SVH is a non-manipulative modality that's an active form of prayer, the most powerful reformatting technique in the planet, but it won't control others. Okay, it's designed in this example to nullify limiting, conflicting energies and to reformat the seeds and foundations of genetic and current life beliefs and blocks that allow others to thwart your vision. So that's more than half the battle right there. We can't control others, but we can get rid of anything within us that will support others' control of us, and also get rid of anything that supports others limiting your sprint to the kingdom of abundance. So as I mentioned, we're going to do this exercise later, but this is one of the components of your Category 3, or it is the component, claiming your realm. The next category, Category 4, is tools. So write down on another piece of paper or on your page that the next category of your creation of abundance in 2010 is tools. What tools will you need to build your ideal? Education, contacts, investments, resources, maybe partners in the project, the support of a life partner and family member, a workspace, or a greater understanding of the steps. If you're going to change the brakes on your truck, you could make a list of the tools that you would use, and you could do that with this as well. If you're building an abundant 2010 through an expansion of your business, what tools will help you? Business cards, professional photo of you, a website, brochures, advertisements, radio ads. These are all tools, okay? What if you are manifesting and choosing and creating this incredible, exquisite practice, healing practice, or building a healing center? That's your goal. What if it is your goal that the energy flow to you in such a manner that everything that is desired to sustain you just flows and comes to you? You still have to lay down the foundation, the plan, and the focus, and the vision, and what are the tools that are going to make that happen, even if it means a facelift. I'm just joking on that. Or losing 140 pounds. That would be a big piece as well. And also, that was a limiting belief, wasn't it? One that our blessed Creator and the God Self will be gleaning, formatting, and beliefs from your deep genetics to get rid of whatever says that you have to look a certain way or be a certain age or weigh a certain amount before you get to have your dreams and your realities. So that's an important one. Another important one is to find one of your greatest tools can be your support system. So build that support system. If it means that you must heal a relationship, then that's on your list, healing your relationships. So that's important. So your next category is obstacles. Write down the word obstacles. What needs to change in order for the ideal, abundant 2010 to be seeded and grow? In this category, I want you to list anything that appears to be impossible to change. When you have your list created, you'll be able to develop a plan for overcoming these obstacles. And if you come on to one obstacle that does not seem to be able to be circumvented, then find a way around that obstacle. Don't let anything stop you. This is your master walk. So what needs to happen to make change possible? How can you work around specific obstacles? So when you make your list, you list what you believe the obstacles are, and you're not being negative. What's happening is actually the creator, during the time when you are working on your lists and your categories, is automatically clearing away whatever blocks you from being able to be inspired by these visions. And we'll talk a little bit more about that, but I can tell you one of the biggest obstacles to abundance is debt. Unresolved issues and problems that appear to be insurmountable can all be overcome, and debt is one of them. I'm not saying that you'll grow another foot if yours gets cut off, although I know that we have the ability tucked away somewhere to do that. But everything is possible and can be made possible when we choose and feel that reality. What about physical debilitation? How can you reach the greatest ideal regardless of the current situation of your body? How can you change your story to one of triumph over adversity? You hear stories about people all the time that have overcome some sort of debilitating travesties that are filled with gratitude, that, oh my God, we just think to ourselves, oh, we're thanking God that we got our arms and our legs and stuff like that. You know, if you have a physical impairment, whether it's some disease, disorder, dysfunction, missing parts, whatever, how can you reach an ideal that releases alliances with obvious shortcomings that lead you to victory and accomplishments that were out of your field of vision before? Make this a priority if that's the case. It's important. We need to rid ourselves of the obstacles. Another obstacle can be your words and your thoughts. In this category, you'll want to list recurrent limiting thoughts and words or patterns of behaviors that have opposed your former creation forming components. Words that describe defeat and fuel energy that flows to support lack of success have got to be stopped. There needs to be a commitment on your part. This is not an optional exercise. You are creating with your words, with your thoughts, your actions, and adding limiting components to your formation recipe is non-supportive to the ideal outcome. Takes the rudder right out of your hand, and we are not victims. We are choosing that our reality is going to be fed and fueled. So now, list the payoffs to failure. Look at other manifestations to see if there's a pattern of defeats or coming up short on your ideals, and find the source of that self-sabotage, because I can assure you that if you were in a life or death situation and given 10 options that led to a painful death and one option that's proven to get you out of the situation alive and well, you would only select the life plan that saves your life, right? It's not easier to fail or give in to adversity. In fact, the aftermath of failure is especially hard, because you had a chance to embrace change, and then when you didn't, guess what happens? You feel like a failure. I'm going to say failure, failure, failure again. It just gets us so much random inner dialogue. I'm using the word fail for a reason, as I mentioned before, because it triggers a lot of deep genetic and current life formatting that actually continues to dig the pit of defeat well after the letdown. To fail an endeavor is to be unsuccessful, to fall short of the ideal. When we fail, we make choices that fuel realities that block the successful completion of our goal, or we're unwilling to do it. Sometimes failing means we abandon or forsake or let somebody down by not doing what is expected or needed, and that also can create a recurrent recriminations and lay foundations of belief systems that support that we are disempowered and do not have the divine right to create our reality, and if we did, we'd probably muck it up anyway, and yada, yada. So the key is that we make a list of what these things are that appear to be patterns. Now, this category is an area where additional deep clearing will support it, and those of you that have the Serenity tools, utilize those to follow the trails. If you don't have the Serenity tools, for good God's sake, get them. There's teachers everywhere. But also, you can add this list to cover in our free 30-minute session with me. But this is something that you want to make a life commitment, because you don't want the things from the past that are negative or limiting. Finding what you can do today, that's ridiculous. That's the rotten egg theory. That's ridiculous. Now, I'm talking to your brain right now, so when I asked what the seeds and foundations of common denominators are right now, in every scenario in your life when you failed or perceived that you failed at something, in fact, let's take it even further, because we'd like to isolate any area of your life that is less abundant, less joyful, and sovereign because of choices that you made, which ultimately limited you from the success that you would choose for yourself right now. We want the Creator to go to each of those times right now and lay in the deep formatting package that I put together for this teleseminar. No excuses. I'm going to say it again. No excuses. List the excuses that might come up or have come up in the past to justify no meeting your goal, and firmly say and believe no excuses. There are no excuses for failure. You aren't going to be using the word failure. That's what I'm using in this teleclass. You're not going to be writing down the word failure. I will no fail and stuff like that. We're going to stay on the real positive when we're putting our lists together, and we're going to be listing all the things that could be negatives and all of that kind of stuff. But know that the clearing profiles that are in place in the background are clearing away the seeds and foundations aligned with these negative and potential negative realities. But I want you to know that this plan is going to be easy. It's work, but as soon as the basics are resolved, all the transformative components and your fueling of them are going to become second nature to you. So the key here is to stop making excuses, stop blaming others for your problems, start using the successes and the formulations of your successes, and stop using the formulas of the failures. Now we're going to take a quick 5-minute break right now, and we'll commence back in just 5 minutes. This is to let you stretch. If you don't have to go to the restroom, I want you to stretch and breathe and move around and all of that and get a reset. And if you have to use the restroom, do a lot of stretching and breathing there. We'll go ahead and complete right now for a second, and then you'll go ahead and we'll recommence in 5 minutes. Okay, welcome back. I'd like to reiterate that the biggest part of this particular seminar is in the clearing. Because the clearing itself, not only what is being implemented with quantum level reprogramming right now, but also in the days ahead, is a huge piece of the puzzle, because it's easier for you to create in focused clarity when formatting is no longer supporting random inner dialogue and negative thoughts and belief systems and triggers and limiting beliefs about yourself and the recurrence of thoughts of people's opinions of you or things that have been laid into your childhood or even in deep genetics that are constantly creating more upheaval in your life. So the key here is that the work in this recording itself that is triggering the different areas of embedded formatting so that the creator can reformat and also release the energetic alliances with these different barriers and blocks is a huge piece. It's a really, really huge piece. So as we move that through every day that you are choosing to focus and you've claimed your realm, which is also something that you're going to be doing later, which basically puts a field of light around you, makes it so that it's a sovereign space, and anything that's within you that would accept or allow this realm that you're creating for yourself to be influenced negatively would be able to be, is going to be automatically reformatted. Every time you work on your categories, every time that anything that fits into this package of this creating an abundant 2010 thrust forward, whether it's you're working on the project itself or you're working on your life that's associated with it, is automatically going to be kicking in incredible clearing profiles. So it continues after today. It continues constantly, and it's going to make it easier and easier and easier for you to be able to uphold the highest principles of divine truth and also have the focus and clarity to be able to create the reality that you're choosing. So our next category is resistance. So write down resistance. That's your next category. That is category 6. So what is your resistance to the ideal, if any? Now, you might not think you have any, but I will tell you just my asking what's your resistance to the ideal. The next time you listen to this course and you're making your lists, I will tell you that your brain is going to isolate what your resistance is. So you want to ponder. Ponder is a funny word. You want to ponder your ideal 2010 manifestation vision. You want to ponder it, looking for anything within you that resists a full commitment to the project. Now, I think it's an interesting, I had somebody ask me, so let's say that I put together my ideal. What if I do it in stages? She said, what if I was to create this really great vision, but it's like one that I can wrap my brain around, and then when I've achieved that, then I go back in and I can create something even bigger. Well, that's a good idea, but you could actually do that in your vision itself because you do load the steps in there. The key is to think big and not beat yourself up along the way. Once again, eye to the telescope and celebrating every step and watching for the small miracles and the big ones and making sure that these realities unfold as you would design them to. So tell me this. Are the people or circumstances outside of your field of influence that have the power to, or potential, basically, to limit your ideal empowered by you? Do they feel like they can do that, or is it just an automatic thing, or are you, is that even a potential? If there is, how you non-manipulatively neutralize their influence is important. What was your upbringing? Your core beliefs or resistance to something new? Your vision of 2010 might fit perfectly with your ideals and desires now, but when you started creating it, will you let yourself have it? That's a big question, because a lot of people say they want to win the lottery and they've got all kinds of visions and dreams of what they would do with it, but would they let themselves ultimately have it? I remember one time I was laying in bed over at Barb and Joe's place out out in Cary, Idaho, and I was just working on one of the books, and I remember I was just kind of laying there, and I said, "Oh, Jesus, lay down beside me, will you?" And then I reached over, and I said, "Put your hand in mine," and I was just kind of, in the flow of it, and I put my hand out, and then I yanked it back quick because I got scared that he really would appear and put his hand in my hand, and I was like, "Ah!" Well, I don't think I or you want to about the good things that we're creating in 2010. So what won't we allow ourselves to have that's in our list? What is the fear supporting that? And most of us were brought up in a post-war era when the imprints of struggle and hardship and lack were shifting out of the norm to form like a new abundant society of people that now find it perfectly acceptable to throw away a toaster if it doesn't work, where before it would be considered ridiculous to do such a thing, and actually the word would have been shameful. They even had like places where you fixed toasters. Well, us, we just run down to Walmart and get us another one quick. It's only like $29.99, right? Well, in 1876, a telephone was launched into our reality. Less than 100 years ago, there were no computers, no satellites or televisions, and air conditioning was a fan. You just kind of fanned yourself. That was air conditioning. So is there a resistance to your ideal abundant 2010 stemming from genetic imprints of poverty, unworthiness, fear of the responsibility of wealth, or maybe the belief that you don't deserve to be happy, or you need to work hard, and the only way to get something is to work really hard? And that's when you know that it's worth something, is when that happens. This category is going to yield a huge clearing potential. It already is right now based on some of the things I've been saying. But because I'm talking to your brain right now to nudge it into giving us the seeds and foundations of resistance. In fact, anytime you move through the categories, as I mentioned before, a huge clearing profile is going to commence. So this list is going to become one of the greatest manifestation tools at your disposal. Remember, this one right here is resistance, and you're going to be listing all of the situations within you that are supporting resistance, including resistance from other people that you need to somehow figure out how to neutralize with non-manipulation. So the next category, number 7, is prevention. You heard the adage, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. In this category, you identify potentials for adversity. Now, I'm not talking about the adversary here. I'm talking about adversity. So if you identify 20 scenarios of adversity or thwarting influences, because adversity means hardship, difficulty, harsh conditions, hard times, all that. So if you're able to identify 20 or more scenarios of adversity or thwarting influences that could come into play to limit your success in this next year, you can prevent them from happening or avoid them by changing your course. Now, that's where flexibility comes into play. So actually, this lesson of looking for scenarios of adversity is going to glean us huge clearing potential, because you're actually looking for the negatives. And guess what? Your brain and your ego program file are going to help you find them. The other thing that I want to point out in prevention is that you don't need to hit rock bottom to turn around and head another direction. Rock bottom isn't a cul-de-sac. It's a pit. Have you ever seen those turnaround spots in the highway where people, have made their own road through the weeds and brush? In America, it's supposed to be against the law to use them, but those little roads were made by people who recognized that they needed to go in another direction, and they chose to do it now rather than continue in the wrong direction until it maybe would be easier to redirect. So this doesn't mean that we want to be reckless in our redirection. Quite the contrary. When you master the elements of formation, nothing is thoughtless. Every reality you feel is focused and clearly defined. So make a list of scenarios of potential adversities. No Creation energy will fuel those realities in this exercise. It's all going to be used for not only to give you ideas of what it is so that you can make sure it doesn't happen, but it's also going to give us huge clearing potential. So while you identify areas of potential imbalance or limiting factors that could impede your plan's success, the Serenity tools are going to be working in the background just to help you isolate the seeds and foundations of their influence. It'll also clear away blocks to creating those. So the next category is fear. That is category 8. Fear of failure is a great, big, fat success robber. At Christmas, I took my grandkids to Sun Valley, and we kind of planned to take a sleigh ride or go to Trail Creek Cabin and do some sledding and stuff like that. But except there wasn't any snow. Or wasn't enough. So we took a wagon ride instead and then, went ice skating. So this is where the ice skating lesson comes in. Now, my grandchildren didn't know how to ice skate, but they really wanted to. So it turns out Sun Valley Lodge, they've got world-class professional skaters on call to teach people for $30 a person for a 30-minute lesson. So we slung the skates on those kids and sent them out on the ice, and they were scared stiff. And I want to tell you, they wanted to quit the first 3 minutes because they'd already fallen down about 20 times, and they just couldn't even stand up on them. But the first thing the instructor taught the kids was how to release their fear. What's the biggest fear of a skater? Falling, right? She showed them how to fall correctly and demystify the whole falling thing. Add this to your list. What's the worst that can happen? So your category is fear, and what is the worst that can happen? When you know the answer to that question, you can make sure the issue doesn't get fueled into formation. But even more importantly, attracting these concerns from fear of them. The laws of formation are clearly defined. Creation energy flows to where your focus is, with or without a rudder. And I can tell you that as much as, I hate saying this, it's easier to create negatives at this point than positives because there's so much genetic formatting that gets behind and really feeds and fuels the negatives. Well, that's what we're working on in this seminar, is to unearth and get rid of those deep pus pockets and remove those. So in this category, you make a list of everything you are afraid could limit the ease of your progression to the ideal 2010. And again, while you do, the Serenity tools are going to be working in the background to help you isolate the basis for your fears and then demystify and diffuse them. So when you identify what's the worst things that could happen, you're able to release the fear of the unknown and refute acceptance and alliances of fear. In fact, this is where the trigger process, no more shall I allow. Write that down if you don't have this one yet. No more shall I allow. That's going to come in handy. And if you've got it already, good gosh, use it. Anytime you think about fear scenarios, think the trigger process, no more shall I allow, and then fill in the blanks, like this. Let's say, so part of your abundance plan includes making a huge deal with big commissions, or you've made a large investment of some kind. What's the worst that can happen in each scenario? The deal could fall through, or in the example of the investment, the value could drop, or you could get swindled. You could add these scenarios to your category list under fears and then ponder ways to make sure these circumstances never have a chance to manifest. How do you do that? First of all, you do no focus on this potential. Giving no energy to support the formations of these realities, you take responsibility for every phase of the operation. You stay in the loop. You know that you can't control people, but you at least get rid of anything within you that would anchor, support, attract, or allow dishonor and all that. It's easier to tap into your insight when you're focused on the issues at hand. So when you are focused and clear and you take responsibility, you can allow yourself to have a gut instinct when things are out of integrity. So clarity and focus are imperative. They're paramount to your success. Now, the trigger process, no more shall I allow. When fear thoughts pop into your mind, you think, cancel, or you think, no more shall I allow my investments to be dishonored, or no more shall I allow my energy to attract unbalanced situations. No more shall I allow fear to fuel my reality. If you're writing a book and fear that people will think you're crazy, or, especially if it's a New Age woo-woo book, what's your school teacher going to think? She's in an evangelist group. I'm writing about stuff that doesn't have anything to do with the blood of Jesus. What am I going to do? Or do you have fears of getting it published, or fears that people won't buy the book, and fears of becoming famous? That's the other one. It's the opposite of the spectrum, but fears of becoming famous. How's that going to change your life? No more shall I allow. Will assist you to clear the air and get the project done, but it will also help to stop you from stopping yourself. Now, one of the things that no more shall I allow helps a lot with is when people around you are creating unbalanced situations. And once again, the Serenity tools aren't about making people change. But, we change ourselves and then other people change, or they get out of our way, or sometimes we have to get out of their way. But no more shall I allow myself to be dishonored by anyone. No more shall I allow myself to be yelled at. No more shall I allow myself to be cheated on. There's a lot of no more shall I allows. And the key is that if your children are dishonoring you, if the people at work are dishonoring you, no more shall I allow is like drawing a line in the sand. And it is a process that automatically goes after whatever was anchored, supporting, attracting, and allowing what it is that you're choosing to no more allow. It's a very powerful trigger. You can use that. Also in the next category, which is emancipation. So write down, category 9 is emancipation. You haven't even started filling out your categories yet, and we've just got so much huge clearing. It's just amazing. This is it's gold. So this is a list of the things in your life that control you or control the realities around you. Okay? Emancipation is the topic. So if there are people in your life that drag you down, add them to your list. You don't have to eliminate these people from your life, but you do have to change. You do. Okay? Let's make 2010 the year we let go of blaming others for anything. Manifesting an abundant 2010 needs to be a passion. It needs to be fueled by action and followed through. You can be passionate about photography, mountain climbing, gourmet cooking, but these passions will be more enriching and fill you with joy if you're not broke. Find a way for your passions to generate money, or generate money enough that your passions can be funded and your life free of lack, so you are no distracted and fueling defeat. The way to create anything is to feel the outcome and to keep feeling it until you have attained it. Most people quit before their ideal is reached. Why do they quit? They're tired. Is there something in their imprinting that says they're only going to get so far and then stop, quit, or fail? They just give up. That's what happens. Maybe it's circumstances, but I can tell you it's because their eye is not on the telescope. They don't have their hand on the rudder flowing down that creation energy flow. Is there something written into your genetics that's stopping you from achieving your ultimate goal? Do you work and work and work and then stop or get stopped? If there's any resistance, do you quit because you believe that if it was meant to be, things should go easy? If that meant to be mindset's been allowed to define your reality, I hope you register for February's tele-seminar, because the imprints of meant to be are dream stealer. Meant to be is a wonderful concept, but it's a dream stealer. Life is an experience. From this moment forward, you are claiming sovereignty over your life to such an extent that you're choosing for your life story and experiences to be easy, graceful, harmonious, and abundant. Write those down. Easy, graceful, harmonious, and abundant. If there's a hiccup along the way, that doesn't mean that it's time to jump ship. It just means it's time to evaluate. Freud said sometimes a cigar is just a cigar. In life, sometimes a hiccup is a plan. A hiccup is a plan. Sometimes a hiccup is a plan. It's the unknown variable. But sometimes a hiccup in your plan is just a hiccup. And if there's a hiccup in the manifestation mix, what are you going to do about it? Are you going to roll over and say, woe is me, and embrace the victim role, or vanquish the hiccups and everything fueling them, grabbing a hold of that rudder, charging forward to claim the ultimate reality that's yours to achieve? Sometimes it's okay to just say, you know what, this isn't working for me, and start over and change it. But when you have your eye on the now and the future, and only accept the reality of your ideal reality to enter your field of vision, you won't sweat the small or the big stuff that comes in the manifestation path. Every project that is a success, every goal attained, and every project and plan completed already happened because the driving force behind it continued. That means they didn't quit, or you didn't quit. Sometimes people change track several times in order to reach their goal. That doesn't mean they quit. They deviated from the original plan in order to fuel the ideal, or they changed their mind. When people start focusing on health and eating better every spring, is it failure for the donut house to shift their focus and add brand muffins and fresh juice to their menu, or is it smart business? Changing strategy when that's what will assure the fulfillment of your ideal is a successful move. So it's finding solutions to issues that come up. Hiccups are, what's the worst that could happen? Back to the other phase. What's the worst that could happen? Back to your fears. So what is your old pattern? When met with adversity, did you let go of the rudder and just let whatever was being created next to happen? Or did you buckle in and grab that rudder and drive it to whatever the best outcome is? That's the important thing. That's the most important thing, because emancipating yourself from everything that has the potential to stop or block you is a success fueler. Emancipation. What is emancipation? That is like freedom from. So emancipating yourself from the things in your life that limit you, that stop and block you, is a category that is a must, because this is our goal, is to reach the abundant 2010. We can reach it today, we can reach it tomorrow, we can reach it in December. It doesn't matter when. The point is that the entire way we are manifesting that ideal. And that is like rolling a snowball down a hill and building bigger and bigger and bigger. And sometimes you run into a retaining wall, and a chunk of that snowball breaks off. But guess what? We get it back rolling again. And that hiccup is not allowed to steal the dream and to stop us, because this isn't the year to let that happen, I promise you. This is the year to push beyond your comfort levels, because you won't have to do it very many times, because this dimension is really very, very user-friendly, and it's going to become more and more so. So the next category, the 10th category, is solutions. So this actually could become the biggest list of all, because you'll probably revisit this page over and over in the next 6 to 12 months. Throughout the year, whenever there's an issue, whatever it is, come to this category. You don't have to come to the paper you're on right now. You come to it in your mind. What is the solution? And you start building solution scenarios. Each time you consciously look for solutions to the issues limiting your creation of an abundant 2010, the Creator and a host of angels and masters and guides will implement extraordinary intervention measures to open up the doorways to opportunities and options available to you that can shift resolve. It can help you to shift your resolve and turn and change. And it can also help to resolve issues. So it can shift your resolve and help to resolve Comprehensive clearing profiles are going to initiate to reformat the seeds and foundations of your unbalanced situations anytime that you're working on these categories in your mind or on paper or whatever. And you're going to be inspired to identify the paths to restoring your ideal. For instance, block momentum. What's stuck? Old debt. See it being paid. See it paid. Focus energy on making the debt go away. Look at your options and decide how you can make it happen. Get creative. If your credit card interest is too high, call the companies and ask them to lower it. Choose if they'll say yes. And if they don't, then for whatever reason, wait a month or two and call them again. If they do, great. You're on track. It's great. You're still on track if they don't, and you call them again later, and all of a sudden a new program or policy makes it available to you. Don't take anything personal that a bank or credit card company says to you or writes to you. Because they work with numbers, their numbers change daily and based on what the upper echelons of management sent down the chain of command. Most of us got 3 to 5 offer letters for the last 5-6 years every month. Balance transfers, 0% interest, shift everything over, spend. And guess what? I don't think I know of anybody that's been receiving any of those for the last 6 months or a year. And the reason why is because that's not part of the program anymore. There's a new program afoot, and that program is called Raise the Interest, Just Describing. So the key is to get out from underneath the debt. The way to help you to get out from under debt is to never say, I'm broke, or I don't have any money, or I'm in debt. Remember, you aren't your debt, your experiences, or your bank balance. Be open to creative options and know that the words I and I am are very powerful. You start saying I and I am around anything, it better be something you want to get behind. Because creation energy opens those floodgates, and torrents of creation energy fuels. And if you're on a rudderless boat headed for disaster, that is no fun whatsoever. So I and I am are the two magic words for manifestation, and two really incredible words that you want to avoid if you're going to be using with negativity. So while you build your new story of abundance, think positively. It took a while. It took some time to build the old story, and it's going to take next to no time at all to change your reality to one of newfound freedom. So don't think that, because it took 20 years to get as deeply in debt as you are, or out of shape, or whatever it is that's on your list that you want to change, has to take 20 years to change back out. That's not true. Making a mental list of how impossible it's going to be to shift out of the old themes of your life deviates creation energy from the ideal that you've chosen. So watch your thoughts. This is going to become your greatest pastime, is to watch, and present time, to watch your thoughts. To be impotent is to be powerless, ineffective, without strength or power to do something. Are there areas of your life that you feel impotent about? If you owe money, action and follow-through is the way to clear the debt. Waiting for the lotto can be a manifestation killer. I want to let you know that up front. I know that there's people here that aren't going to hear me say this. There's ways around that. You don't have to let it be a manifestation killer. We even have a Serenity process called Lotto that I'm loading for you now. If you don't have it yet, that's going to help. But people do win the Lotto. And if you're going to play it, it's important to play to win. But know to give Lotto the power to stop creation energy in your life. Because if you do, that mentally changes the dynamics of the game for you anyway. So millions of people are playing the Lotto, while the same or more dedication that you're using and passion to win is going with their ticket. Now, there's tons of people that just buy a ticket and think it's fun, but there's a lot of people that buy and really, do the happy dance and do all the stuff and jump through the hoops and all that. So while you're playing to win the Lotto, expect to win. but also recognize that Lotto is a tool that the adversary uses to feed its suppression profiles. Lotto energy and the energy of the collective that are playing Lotto, not so much you, but the other folks playing, is steeped in the energy of disempowerment because it disengages the creation energy formation elements of your other options. Did you hear that? It stops creation energy from flowing to fuel the manifestations of your dreams. Now, the process that you've got loaded here that's going to actuate here in a little bit is going to basically leave the creation energy flows going. But if your thoughts keep going toward the fueling of those realities of shutting off the floodgates of creation energy, fueling towards the 10 projects you got going, and you buy a lottery ticket and it just squeezes off, you don't need that money. You've got the $140 million coming. Why do you need that? That is only going to bring you $1,200. I can, with my $140 million, I'll pay all that off later. That is the kind of energy that is being used by your ego program file and even, believe it or not, your conscious mind. I looked up the odds for the Idaho Powerball, okay? There is a 1 in 195 million chance of winning the jackpot. Now, they print that. I can't even believe anybody buys tickets, but I have myself. So let's say that 150 million of those people are just buying a ticket for fun, hoping they win, and just, like forgetting about it, and maybe check the numbers or not. And the other 45 million in this scenario are really focusing on the big win, holding the energy for it, praying, meditating on the numbers that they've selected, and seeing that win and the answer to their dreams and their problems. That means that instead of mastering their realm and using that same focus and dollar, in that case, to create the reality they're choosing, 45 million people twice a week are negating their own creation potentials and giving their power away for $1. So if you're going to play the lotto, it's important to expect to win, but if you're waiting for the big win to make your dreams come true instead of fueling and focusing every effort on manifesting the reality you desire by creating the life that answers your dreams and makes them happen, you're not giving yourself enough credit because you can create the life you choose. You're the lotto. So if you play the lotto, add that to your list because we will implement comprehensive clearing profiles to remove the imprints of disempowerment that are linked to lotto and help shift the creation energy to support the abundance vibration so that if you're one of the of the 195 million that don't win, that you won't let the energy of your dollar spent for the ticket reflect a loss of 40 million or more. Because that's what it does. This is one of the ways the adversarial energies creates a loss of dreams, a loss of hope, and a need to play and replay again. The way that dynamic is held in collective consciousness is that all the people that don't win the lottery believe that they've lost the millions. Personally, lost it because it went to somebody else. Okay, so that means even though they just paid $1 for something, that was their $140 million. And they just lost it. How do you feel when you lose $140 million? Pretty sick, I would imagine. So if nobody wins that week, okay, if you got to draw once a week or whatever, if nobody wins, the collective belief in this scenario is funny. It spins. Then it's a plus. It's actually because the money is now being held for you in the next draw when the payout's going to be even bigger. So it's a win-win. So if nobody won, it's like, you didn't lose anything. It's still being held for you, and everybody's piling up that hot pile higher. So it spins the energy around so that it's a lucky thing to no win in that case. See how the dynamic is all kind of weird, and it's very convoluted. But when someone actually ultimately does win, millions of people have lost. I venture to say 195 million people have lost. So let's think about that and start putting energy into creating our realm, creating our reality, focusing on going forward, playing the lottery for fun, giving energy and choosing to win tuning into the energies and getting those numbers, doing the happy dance and all of that, but no fueling with your mind all of those dynamics that are suppressing humanity, basically, through these different collective belief systems. Follow through, very important. It isn't enough to wish for it, to hope for it, to dream for it. Even choosing something requires action and some level of directive focus to make it happen. Let's use weight loss as a weight loss decision. You're going to do it. It's a choice. You put a plan together. Get forward focus. You're excited about giving up sugar, eating more healthfully. You clear out a room of the house. You dedicate to the plan. You buy an elliptical machine. You set it up in the workout room. You heard about a mini trampoline and how it helps to affect the body and how it helps to clean, the body. So you buy a mini trampoline, you put it in the workout room. You purchase a CD workout system with an internet support system to help motivate you and keep that motivation high. Sounds like a lot of creation energy, feeling the plan. Okay, great. Okay, now you've got your plan and you've got your 10 bullets. Okay, now sounds like this person here put a lot of thought into losing some weight or releasing some kilos, right? But what if there's plenty of desire, plenty of prep, no action, and no follow-through? They continue to eat large portions. They don't have their vision of what it looks like. They don't have the focus. They're not claiming their realms. They're not using their tools. They're not clearing away the obstacles, getting rid of the resistance, preventing imbalance, getting rid of the fear, emancipating themselves from the blocks, and finding the solutions as they move along. Fixing the solutions right there with the very first day when they started to eat large portions again. Well, I can think of several of those of those different stages that would help bring them right back onto track. Would you? So continue to eat large portions. Log in maybe 5-minute workout on the elliptical the first 2 days. Never getting on it again. Maybe not getting on the mini trampoline at all. Don't crack the plastic on the workout CDs. Eventually, you close the door to the workout room so you don't have to look at it every time you're walking down the hall. This is the way we used to work. Now, maybe you have really good work ethic, and I'm not talking about you, but maybe I'm talking about your ancestor. Okay? So what these 10 steps to follow through, these stages, every single one of these categories was channeled. It was channeled for a reason, because these are the ones that will help you to reach your goal. I sat down and I just said, God, tell me what to do here. And the Creator said, these are the categories. So I wrote down those categories. This isn't willy-nilly. These are there. And I can tell you that if this was me in the scenario and I took my workout plan and I used these 10 categories, I can promise you the very first day that problem would have been solved. And maybe it's a pain in the neck just describing to get on an elliptical machine and build up to it. And maybe, there's some different things out there. The extra butter on the popcorn at the movie sounds really good. But I can tell you right now that focus and vision, holding on to that rudder and working through these categories is what is going to help you with follow-through. So it must be follow-through, action, follow-through, not just buying stuff and putting it in a room follow-through. Action follow-through. No matter what your vision is, you must have action and follow-through. And these categories are going to be very important. So with that said, I would like to sling in that taking a break's okay. A downward spiral needs to be overcome quickly, though. So if you take a break from your vigilant focus clarity and you still have your eye on the telescope, you're not going to lose ground. You know, let's say if part of your choices for your vision is to have your weight, to be fit and have your weight at your high school weight. It's okay to take a break. It's okay to, go on a cruise and eat the food. But if you start a downward spiral and pick up old patterns, this must be overcome very quickly. Because when you lack conviction to go forward, you want to give up, you want to roll over, you want to go back to being a rudderless boat, it slows down the progression, and it also sets up the failure sequences. These categories are very, very important, and they will help you to make sure this doesn't happen. And also use the trigger processes. It won't do the work for you to pull up your bootstraps and step up, buckle up, and continue, but it'll help align you with the vibrational edge that others summon to move beyond adversity to claim their ideals. I want you to imagine right now the energy captured by the Creator of hero soldiers. They were broken and bleeding, and when others in their place would have laid down and died, they rose up somehow and they claimed victory. Think of every person lost at sea that kept on swimming until they found land instead of succumbing to the depths of the sea. Think of every entrepreneur that faced destruction of their dreams, and yet they persevered and achieved their ideal. Think of every civilization on the brink of disaster, destruction, enslavement, that rose up in courage to save and restore their way of life. Our world has had dictators, famines, floods, earthquakes, disease, and economical upheavals, and humanity survived. Even in the face of hopelessness, we as humans have a drive to succeed. The trigger process you receive in this seminar in a few minutes, called Resolve, is going to help you to lift out of those rough patches of apathy, hopelessness, and lack of conviction to your plan. It's your secret weapon. The moment you think resolve, the Creator is going to initiate a whole sequence of intervention profiles that include comprehensive clearing profiles calibrated to unearth and rescript the seeds and the foundations of your loss of resolve. You're going to be instilled with divine light and the vibrations of determination, willpower, fortitude, the vibrations of good old-fashioned grit. It's going to radiate throughout you, helping you to resurrect the oomph, the gumption to persist in your endeavors. I wonder if you're familiar with grit. Grit's a personality trait that encompasses perseverance, hard work. Studies show that grit is more responsible for success than intelligence. Did you know that? In your clearing package today is a new process, Resolve. And I want you to know that every single member of your genetic history, your soul lineage, that had grit, that used resolve, that persevered, that moved beyond the impossible, that reflection and vibration of that grit is being reflected into you, reflected into your auric field, to remind you, and reflections of and pictures of what it would look like for you to go that extra mile are going to be reflected to you. You have a goal. And though collective consciousness firmly upholds the precept that certain things aren't possible, you're choosing to be free, to free yourself from the limiting principles and teachings held in genetic and even current life imprints that have played out over and over again throughout your life. You're free. You're free to create the reality you choose, and the old ways that hold little or no support for your ideal have no place in your success plan. In fact, today and every day from this moment forward, the dream-stilling options of others and limiting beliefs held in collective consciousness will no longer be allowed to fuel a potential for your plan's defeat. Instead, you're going to claim the reality that you've defined in your manifestation plan as an unwavering component of your realm, and grit is going to help you to drive the ideal into formation. write down resolve. Make sure that that trigger never leaves you. That's the trigger process that you're going to call upon any time a circumstance or the intentions of others bear the imprint of sabotage or lessening resolve, including your own. Self-sabotage is still sabotage. So right now, I'd like to just trigger a little more clearing. I've got some different trigger things that I've put together with the help of the Creator just to stimulate some clearing, but I'm rather emotional about resolve. And the reason why is because we deserve to make it. And most of the reason why we haven't been in different areas of our life is because we've lacked resolve. It's because we gave up. Because if we hadn't given up, we would have made it, whatever it was. And maybe we had somebody beaten on us. Maybe we had the world beaten on us. You know, maybe the circumstances were so dire that there was just, no way to make it work. But there is an alternate reality that we could turn our rudder and make flow our boat into, our reality into. We don't have to keep going just because the flow is headed toward disaster. We can turn. We can turn the rudder. We don't have to go over the waterfall. We don't have to go to uncertain death and disaster. So right now I'm going to be triggering just a few things. I'm going to be talking to your brain mostly. You don't have to answer. This isn't something that you need to write down. This is all about me and the clearing. So this is the part where you can put your pen down and just let me ask you these questions. What is your age? You've created and co-created every component of your reality for just that many years, however long or short you've been on this planet. So let's examine where you are in the grand scheme of things right now. So a comprehensive clearing will be loaded based on your unconscious responses to these questions as well as the conscious ones. Do you like where you are in your life? Do you like where you live? Do you enjoy your days? Do you feel fulfilled? Do you have enough money to do what you like? Do you have a partner? If you do, is it an ideal relationship? If you don't have a partner, do you desire to have one? Do you enjoy an abundance of good relationships with people in your life? Do you get along with your family? You started a manifestation plan for creating and feeling the most magnificent 2010 ever. Do you believe it is possible to create it? Do you have the resolve, the passion to claim your ideal? If you fall down in your resolve or come up short, is that okay? Do you believe you deserve good and great things in your life? Are you willing to and capable of holding the focus of your ideal reality firmly in place, allowing it to be firmly implanted, fostered, and supported clear through to its completion and beyond? Do you have an unwavering focus that locks firmly on the target of what you're choosing and desiring? If you do not have that focus, are you willing to let go of that old paradigm and see yourself as a super manifester? Because that's all that counts. Thank you. That helps me with my clearing. So have you ever heard the saying that it only matters how your end game is played? I heard somebody say it, and it kind of gave me pause for thought. It might be true in sports, but because I think that's what the context was about. But there still has to be a progression of wins played out to ensure that the players get a chance to be in the big end game anyway. So I don't really know what that means. But in life, living every day, wishing and hoping your life will look and be a certain way, fuels creation to support that reality. The creation energy just rushes to that reality. But wanting to live the life you desire because you're waiting for some miracle to manifest it for you doesn't feel an outcome like we're manifesting in our project. It's different. In fact, it's the difference of a trickle of creation energy and a deluge. You deserve and are claiming the best for the new now. And that's the only energy to support flowing orbs of creation energy into your reality. This is your new credo for 2010. I will no allow limiting energy from the past to enter my focus vision recipe. Write that down. I will no allow limiting energy from the past to enter my focus vision recipe. What's your focus vision? Your focus vision is number 2 and 1 combined, aren't they? Focus is the vision. Because in our categories, we had the vision of what it looks like in all the steps. The second category is focus. That is the vision. That's the vision. It's complete, full plan, start to finish. This is what it looks like. Here it is. That's what we are choosing to fuel. And no limiting energy from the past is going to be allowed to enter your focus vision and your focus vision recipe. If you detect limiting components of the past entering your recipe of today, remember my old egg adage. Don't add old rotten eggs from 20 years ago. Get added to your recipes of today. The outcome will be gross. And it's just ridiculous. It just keeps the old spirals of negativity and the limiting things just continues to go. If you want a good relationship with somebody, quit reminding them of what they're not. If you want a good relationship with yourself, quit reminding you of what you're not. It works both ways. Stop adding old rotten eggs from 20 years ago or 40 years ago or 60 years ago or 20 years or last week into your recipes of today, because that's what a creation formation is. It's a bunch of components of a recipe. I'm choosing ease, grace, harmony, abundance. I'm choosing that when I get to the mall, there will be a parking spot for me. I'm choosing that no one that parks next to me will ding my car door. I'm choosing that divine light will be sent ahead of me and Kuan Yin and Archangel Michael start the shopping spree for the 50% off the last mark price sale, so that all the deals, and just light up every area and all the sizes that I'm looking for, so that I can just get this done really expediently and come back and really get back to the next phase of whatever it is that I'm doing. So that's the key, that's the recipe. The recipe is that while I'm shopping, if I get a little dry, that God's Pharmacy will kick in some hydration. That the people that I work with that are helping me, my personal shoppers, that they won't bug me, that they won't keep following me around, that they'll just be right there when I need them, though, and they'll get me new sizes and stuff. See, these are creation components. You know what? Your vision is the creation components. Your focus is the story. Your focus is the recipe all wrapped up in a lot of orbs of creation energy that are going to be fueling. There's no payoff that is fulfilling enough to justify even one setback from your focused vision. I'm going to see if I can repeat that. There is no payoff that is fulfilling enough to justify even one setback from your focused vision. You know, there was an old doctor, he's like a diet doctor in Boise, Idaho, years ago, that used to tell his patients, nothing tastes as good as skinny feels. I'll never forget people telling me that. It was so funny. Nothing tastes as good as skinny feels. Now, that's a mindset that helped these gals turn away from the cake and cookies. It was powerful. It was powerful. I will no longer allow limiting energy from my past to fuel my focus vision recipe. That's going to help you to fuel focus, clear energy, to fuel an abundant 2010. Keep your vision and your focus. Keep it in your mind. Go over it for the first week. Remind yourself of what your goals are. If you start to spiral, use resolve. If individuals come into your life that have the potential to limit you, that because you'll let them trigger you, and then you'll say, oh, well, it's okay, and then you miss a piece of the puzzle, because in the end game, which is the end game, the real end game, those people, they'll sit down and say, well, good God, I didn't mean that you needed to stop just because I wanted you to listen to me for 4 hours while I complained about something. You could have set a boundary and said, let me know how this turns out, will you? and you go off to something else. Nobody really sits back and says, I really, really, really want to stop her. If I could just sit up all night, maybe I could think of all the ways that I could stagnate Roger. Nobody sits and thinks that. But their genetics, their imprints, their beliefs, their fears, all these things play into the way their actions roll out. So what are you going to do? It's a good question. First place to start is your category list. You got one heck of a clearing that you're going to get here in a couple seconds. Keep your eye on the telescope at all times, even when you're on break. It's okay to take a break, but there's a difference between taking a break and letting go of the whole theme. The analogy that Ben used, I used one that Ben kind of thought was better, was if you spend the whole day pulling a canal boat up the canal, would you unhook your ox at the end of the day and lay down the rope, or tie up the rope so that it doesn't float back and you have to start over again? Lock it in. Focus your vision in creating an abundant 2010, because that's going to be the easiest thing you ever did. Struggling and digging a hole, that's the hard stuff. Climbing out of the hole, that's the easy part, even though it might feel like you're ripping yourself through trying to get up there and pulling your weight. But when you keep your eye on the telescope, it's easy, because the only reality that you'll support is the ideal and your insights, your sight on the kingdom of abundance that you're sprinting to. And the closer you get to the top, the more passion is fueled. You're like, oh, my God, I'm almost there. That's the key. Keep excitement. Your lists are going to develop over the next months, but pretty soon you're going to be thinking the lists. Probably after this week, you won't think of the lists again. You won't be like writing the stuff down. You'll be thinking it. That's how the masters did it. You don't have to do it that way, but that's how the modern-day masters are claiming their realm also. They're defining it, choosing it, and letting nothing get in their way. So keep your credo in mind and reclaim your realm every time that you update your vision. The serenity process, claiming your realm or claiming my realm, automatically updates to your new vision the next time that you implement it. So let's say that you go in and you claim some sort of reality to be part of your vision and your focus. Let's say you add something. You take a couple things out, put in something new. The next time you go and claim your realm, it automatically adds. The reason why is that every time that you claim your realm, your future ascended master self is grabbing an orb of creation energy and implanting the reality of the ideal of what that's going to look like. That's beyond what we can think of, because your future ascended master self, by the way, is in a non-dual plane, which we're moving into more and more. But this is like from the state of mastery, looking back and saying, this is what I would have chosen. This is what I choose. So this is the key, that when you claim your realm, which takes seconds, by the way, you step across that line and you just don't let anything get in the way of your success. You're the definer of your realm. Remember, you are the only one that gets to vote on your life. It's really, really important for you to claim that sovereignty. We love people. We love the people in our life. But when we hand over our divine right to choose and create. It negates the power to manifest in our ideal reality exactly what we're choosing. So, it's time now to implement the transformational reformatting sequence. We've come to that time. And then we're going to claim our realm, and we're going to do this incredible manifestation exercise that's going to help to support us by receiving support from outside sources. So what we're going to be doing is I've been amassing, the Creator's been amassing, and your God self, your higher consciousness and soul have been gathering so many clearing profiles. Believe me when I say that the Creator and your higher consciousness and your soul have been busy preparing an emancipation package for you that is second to none. It's individualized for each registered participant of this seminar. I've spent many hours preparing the foundations for this clearing. I know who you are. I know who you are. And I have made these. If you received the codes for this course, you have a clearing package. But the Creator is the one implementing the stages of it, bringing it into a glorious perfection. I've just been laying all the parameters, and I've been asking the Creator, what should we do next? Where should we put it? This has been a campaign that has been building for weeks. And the whole idea for this conference and this series of teleconferences and teleseminars, I guess you would say, was from the Creator and from my higher self. In a collaborative effort, this idea has been designed to be able to assist us to not only leap and to be able to use what's at our disposal to be able to create a new reality, but also it's to help the collective, because we're moving into some very incredible ground now, beautiful, incredible areas of potential. And as we shift, we help to shift collective consciousness. So to accept your time capsule of clearing, which it is in a time capsule ready for you, doesn't matter when you look at this, and if you, every single time that you work with this recording, you get a brand new clearing. It's all calibrated so that every time you get deeper and deeper and deeper clearing. So go ahead and close your eyes and imagine that there is a screen floating before you. Go ahead and ask the Creator if it is in divine alignment to have all of these clearing profiles that were set up by your higher consciousness and your soul and our blessed Creator, to be able to have them implemented by the Creator and brought into their greatest alliance with your purpose to support you in these advancements. And when you get an answer, an affirmative answer, think, yes. And then take a breath and feel the shrouds of genetic alliances with poverty consciousness and those pus pockets of embedded formatting and undetected layers that would or could have limited your abundance in 2010. Many of these layers have before now been undetected. What we've done today is something that is going to change your life. And what you're going to do with it is make the change. So from this day forward, the seeds of abundance that you fuel and the categories you build upon to fuel your life of abundance will be supported by the SVH tools in your higher consciousness and soul as they outline the steps of clearing and intervention for the Creator to implement. Let's go ahead now and implement Claiming Your Realm. This time is the only time it'll happen. But this time we're going to use the perfected version that you haven't created yet, that I got from your future self. This actually, been claiming your realm with this template, is going to help you to build your template, which is really, really cool. Claiming your realm, of course, is a trigger process. So what I'd like you to do is go ahead and close your eyes and think the trigger, because now the trigger process has been activated for you. Think, claiming my realm. Bam. Imagine that you're standing on a sandy beach. And Archangel Michael has got a big stick and drawn a big circle around you. And you're on one end of the circle, on one side of the circle, And he's going to take his stick and he's going to divide the circle in half with his stick making a line so it's split right in half. And you're on one side of the circle and the other side's empty right now. So now a screen is going to manifest in the air before you, kind of like your viewing screen that you've been looking at before, and record all that you define as a parameter for your realm, your world, your personal sovereign space, and all that. Now, we're going to begin by defining your realm by choosing your focused vision for 2010. And automatically, that perfected version of what you're going to be creating is going to load onto that screen directly from your future Ascended Master Self. And, of course, the Creator is the one that's going to be implementing it. Go ahead and make your words mine if you want, and just allow yourself to flow along with it. Just want to give you some examples. I choose that this realm shall be aligned with the highest principles of divine truth, ease, grace, harmony, abundance. I choose that none of my property will be destroyed so that I can have a windfall. I choose that no people will have to die so that I have to have a windfall. I choose that abundance shall flow to me from all areas of this universe, and especially from for the plants and the trees. Everything in this realm will support me. I choose that none shall have the power to stop or block the progression of my personal path to mastery, my flow of abundance, my projects that are a part of my focused vision. I choose that none shall have the power to limit me from being able to step forward and follow the path that I plan with the Creator. Now, if you don't like any of that stuff, you can imagine a big eraser erasing any of it. It doesn't matter. I just wanted to give you an example. But if you liked what it was there, good. So now all you have to do is think, activate. This is the way the trigger works. You think, claiming my realm. Automatically, Archangel Michael puts that circle around you. You can make it happen fast by just choosing for it to be done. You choose that your focused vision be the one that's loaded. You can just have that be enough, and then you think, activate. The Creator is the one that implements everything, so it's all going to be done in perfect order. So it's not like anything wicky-wack or crazy can happen. We just know that it's going to be absolutely aligned with perfection. As soon as you think activate, step across the line with your energy body and feel the line disappear and feel the parameters of your circle expanding wider and wider and wider and just encompassing all that is part of your realm, whether it be your house or your car or your passion, your joy. And now we're going to manifest, we're going to implement the new trigger process of focused vision. Focused vision is a very exciting process. The first time we used it was a meditation that was gifted to us in our walking meditation at the mastery courses in Australia. And that focused vision, something that we utilized to not only enhance what we are creating. It wasn't called focused vision, and we didn't have a process for it, nor was it a trigger process at that time. But what it is now is all the parameters of that plus. So what it is that when you think of focused vision, immediately on a screen that you can see, imagine, or pretend to see, is going to be a copy of your focused vision. What is the focused vision again? It's your vision plus the end product, the whole vision. And in that vision, it is totally and completely outlined in its perfected form, brought that way through the guidance of the Creator, your higher consciousness and soul, and your future Ascended Master Self. Now that focused vision is up on the screen, and what you're going to be doing is actually walking, sitting, meditating, spending 5 minutes minimum whenever you can, directing and allowing creation energy to fuel that vision. Now, some of us have problems with receiving. This is going to be amazing to help you to be able to shift out of those blocks to allowing yourself to receive, because you deserve to receive from the same resources everybody else in the universe and the world is allowed to receive from and is ordained as their divine right and their legacy to receive from. The way we're going to bring that creation energy in is through ancient breathing. So some of you aren't familiar with ancient breathing, so I'm going to walk you through the steps of it. So if everyone will just play along, you all have the trigger process, ancient breathing. So ancient breathing is a way for your front and back chakra, heart chakra, to open and expand and to radiate divine light. So it's the divine light, the God light from you, okay? So what happens is that you expand your love fields like your soul does when it breathes and perpetually flows out to the all and the everything and waves of light that maintain its alliance with the wholeness of all that is. You second your soul energy body, it just took a big breath and then expanded out through everything. It touches everything on this realm and dimension and all the realms and dimensions, the wholeness of everything. So as it ripples out, it touches everything and it says, oh, I'm connected to everything. And then it's restoring back. And while it's breathing out, it's breathing in. It's just like exhaling and inhaling with your lungs, but it's not. It's going to be happening with flows of energy from your heart chakra. Okay? So that's what ancient breathing does. At one point in ancient breathing, it catches on to those chakras, and it flows out, and it grabs on to what the soul's breath is flowing with, and you flow with it. It's extremely euphoric. And if you're interested, there's a CD on the SerenityVibrationHealing.com website that'll teach you how to take this to a deeper level, but I'm going to teach you how to do it right now. And the way I'm going to do it is I'm going to have you just think ancient breathing and feel that kind of budding energy wanting to burst out from your heart chakra. In fact, it does a bit. And imagine that there is an elastic strap in the front and the back of your chakras, and that energy flows out 10 feet in the front and back of you. And then because it's elastic, it's easy to flow back in. Now, send it back out with your thoughts that you want it to encompass the entire town that you're living in or you're at right now. Stretching it out, feeling everything. You know, only the highest principle of divine truth can cross through this, so it feels so yummy. And then the elastic strap retracts back into your heart chakra. Now expand out to the all and the everything, taking first the whole world into your field, just like spanning the globe, feeling go around, touching in the breath touching itself on the other side of the world, and then restoring back to your heart, and then breathing out into the cosmos, touching everything, breathing out further and further and further, and then restoring back. Now that's how you ancient breathe. It's loads of fun, and it's really, there's no way to feel separate from anything when you're ancient breathing. It's beautiful. What we're going to do right now is think focused vision. Close your eyes and think focused vision. The second that you do, there's an imaginary field that's going to pop up that vision, and that's got your eye on the telescope. You can see it, pretend to see it. It doesn't matter. You can walk with your eyes open and know that that screen is there. And as you walk, I want you to think ancient breathing and begin to breathe out. Now, when you're breathing out, what you're doing is you're breathing out to the trees, the sand, the air, the sky, the snow, the buildings, the people, everything. You're breathing out and you're saying, hello, here I am, and here is my focus vision. Do you choose to support it? If you do, thank you. If not, thank you. And then you breathe back in. Now, as you breathe back in, it hits your auric field, and it activates within you an acceptance profile that allows you to take in the pristine versions of energy, cosmic energy, orbs of creation energy that are pure, unadulterated. They have no imprints of manipulation. They have nothing. They're pristine. They're incorruptible. And they've just been entered into your focus vision screen. Aha. Let's get some more. Let's breathe out again. Breathe out to the whole room that you're in. Breathing out, and if there's people out there in your room that you're in, or you stretch out into the town, we're not saying, we don't have a tin cup saying, gimme, gimme. But you know what? If they've got a love thought, their soul is going to send it. So reach out, send out. Just breathe. You're in focus vision. That means they already have the offer to assist you. Breathe back in and feel that love and acceptance and gratitude for their gift to you. Breathe back out again. Feeling your breath just continue to flow and flow and flow out. Reaching out to every single ant and bug and bird and tree and bit of sunlight and sand and water, everything on our planet. Go up into the cosmos, into the air, to the air particles, down into the earth, the outside of the earth, the outside crust, where the people are in the buildings and all the little animals and little raccoons running around. Some of them want to give you some help here. They would like to give you something that they have an excess of, because creation energy is in great abundance. Accept it from them. Breathe it back in now. Feel that love. Feel the love and feel the gratitude that you have for them, but also send back that gratitude. Breathe back gratitude to them. Thank you. Thank you. And tenfold return to you from the universal light. And now expanding further and saying, yes, I accept, I allow. Breathing back in. Feel how fun it is to receive. And allow yourself to leap and leap and leap. Because focus vision is an incorruptible version of your truth sent to the parts of everything and everyone that are aligned with the highest principles of divine truth. It's being sent to the God self, the light of the Creator within everything. And the abundance is flowing. All you have to do to reestablish this is just to think focused vision and immediately begin ancient breathing, because focused vision activates ancient breathing. Now that I've taught you how to ancient breathe, it's in the components of the work. So you just think focused vision and start walking. Go on a walk, and as you walk down the path, feel the love of everything, choosing to assist you, to gift you. Feel the gratitude and breathe back. I can tell you that it'll take you out of a heck of a mood, because if you're in a funky mood and you're walking along being gifted by everything, it's pretty wonderful. Breathing in support of everything around you is magnificent, because when you receive, you also gift back 1,000 and a millionfold. You envision the ideals and you allow the energy of the trees and the grass and the birds and opportunities that abound to fuel the realities that you're creating. Feel how much love you feel right now and how positive that you feel. Taking control of your life and eliminate all that limits you. Don't let anything stop your focus. Don't let anyone or anything limit your creation of an abundant 2010, because the fruits of your labor in this year assist you to master the elements of formation. And they're going to fuel your ability to create an abundant reality and a life that is beyond anything that we can wrap our brain around right now for the whole rest of your life. Stay focused. follow your success recipe. And in July, I'll implement a follow-up seminar to help you in the midway stage if we need it. But this is your year. Let's make it the year that you step into a master manifestation role that fuels a lifetime of prosperity and an abundance of honoring relationships, health, vitality, and more money than you can spend in 10 lifetimes. This time you're going to let it happen. You're going to be a success at this. You are a success already. You've claimed it. Namaste.
Now that you have completed this recording, you are ready to access your online post-seminar coaching session. It is recommended that you revisit all or part of this seminar to receive enhanced benefit from the progressive clearing profiles.